It was a great year for cucumbers in my garden. I've been able to make a lot of pickles, mostly fermented dill pickles, since that's what my family likes. And while I like the old-fashioned fermented dills, I enjoy a sweet, crunchy bread and butter pickle with some cheddar cheese. Since I used most of my Boston pickler cucumbers making dills, I decided to use the abundant Armenian cucumbers from my garden for the bread and butter pickles. If you've never grown an Armenian cucumber, you should give them a try in your garden. These cucumbers are prolific producers. They're a light green color and grow quickly. In fact, they grow so quickly that you can easily lose track of them and end up with giant produce. Armenian cucumbers are never bitter. They taste great in salads, and as you'll see in this video, they make great pickles too. After washing, remove the stems and blossom ends. My cucumbers were big enough that I quartered them lengthwise and then cut them into chunks. My mom gave me her mother's 3-gallon crock, and as you can see, I had about 2 gallons of cucumber chunks. The brine is very simple. 1 cup of pickling salt dissolved into 1 gallon of water. I usually use rock salt because that's what I have on hand. I make sure that there's enough brine to cover the cucumber chunks. Then I place a salad plate on top of the chunks and press down to keep the cucumbers submerged in the brine. The plate wasn't quite heavy enough, so I took a small butter crock and placed it on the plate. It worked perfectly. Here comes the easy part. Leave the crock in a cool, dark place for 14 days. Don't panic if you see weird stuff forming on the top of the water. Just skim it off and let the brine do its fermenting magic. After the 2 weeks is up, drain off the brine and cover with cold water. My recipe calls for a piece of alum the size of a walnut to be added to the water. I don't know that I've ever seen pieces of alum, so I added 2 teaspoons of powdered alum to the water. Let this stand overnight. The next morning, drain off the alum water and rinse the cucumbers thoroughly. Spoon the cucumber chunks into quart jars. This is the syrup that you'll be putting on them now. Bring to a boil 2 quarts sugar, 1 quart white vinegar, 2 sticks cinnamon broken into pieces, 1 teaspoon mace, and 1 tablespoon whole cloves. Bring this to a boil and then pour it over the cucumber chunks in the quart jars. Cover with a clean, used lid and wait 24 hours. This is day 1. On day 2, drain the syrup from the jars into a pot, bring it to a boil, and pour it back over the cucumbers. On day 3, reheat the syrup again to boiling and pour over the cucumbers in the jars. On day 4, you'll bring the syrup to a boil and then bottle your pickles, sealing the jars. Since I'm the only one who eats sweet pickles, I decided to put my bread and butter chunks into pint jars. Fill each clean, sterilized jar with the cucumber chunks. Bring your syrup to a boil and pour over the cucumbers. Wipe your jar rims to make sure they're clean and place a new canning lid on each jar. Then tighten the rings. Just to make sure that my lids would seal, I put my jars in a hot water bath canner for 10 minutes. And here they are, crunchy Farmstead bread and butter pickles the way Great-Grandma used to make them.